G'day, frother. Welcome to the Noob Spearo podcast. If you're not a frother yet, then you surely will be by the time this episode finishes. Today it's big boat sands on a trailer boat with Tri-State legend, current serving president Spencer Faucher. Faucher? I get it wrong, as usual. I don't know why people keep coming back on the show, maybe just to hear me butcher their name so badly. And clearly people have a sense of humour. Spencer is the president of a club in the northeast of the US, the Tri-State Skindivers. These guys, it's actually more than Tri-States now. They've sort of into 5 or 6 states. They've got more than 300 members, and this is a frothy club with some really, really cool comps coming up. Noob Spearo has put some books in for the next one, 99 Spearo recipes and 99 tips to get better at spearfishing. I think even the Spearo log is in there as well as prizes. So, but you'll hear Spencer talk a wee bit about this club and an awesome vibe that they've got going over there. Shout outs. I have a few. Matt Stewart, he left a review for the spearfishing course. He says, Noob Spearo spearfishing, a top-notch experience for newbies and dads taking daughters. I just had the most incredible experience learning to spearfish with Noob Spearo spearfishing. Shrek and his team of instructors are brilliant. The instructors were fantastic with heaps of experience in the different fields of freediving and spearfishing. They made sure safety was absolutely paramount, which put me at ease right away. They weren't pushy at all, but incredibly patient and encouraging. They really took the time to make sure we all understood everything and felt comfortable in the water. It was such a fun and exhilarating experience. I learned so much, and I even managed to spear a couple of fish. I loved it so much that I'm going to sign my daughter up to do a course with them, and I'm keen to go back for the intermediate level course. Talking about intermediate level courses, we've just released a brand new trip, and I would really, really love to fill this boat full of frothers. This is kind of a brand new trip. So when you run a pilot trip, you're not really running to make a lot of money. You're really just trying to get a trip up and going, and this is something that we want to have on the calendar annually. But I am running the Mackay Intermediate Spearfishing course, the Hardline and beyond. It's aboard the QE2 charter boat. We're heading right out beyond trailer boat range to the Northern Swains and beyond the Hardline. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm joined by Tom Sandstrom and Tim McDonald, Australian spearfishing champion. And jeepers, we're in an idyllic location, hot showers, 2 people per cabin, some really, really good ocean-capable tenders, an experienced skipper, a really amazing boat. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's coming up this year too, guys. Get in, go to spearfishingcourses.com.au and sign up for the Mackay Intermediate Spearfishing course. It's November 7th to 12th, 2024. Anyway, enough from me. Let's get into it. A big chat with a big frother. Here we go. Spencer Faucher. Shop for your spearfishing gear at adreno.com.au. In-store and online, you can use the code NoobSpearo to save $20 on any purchase over $200. Why would you shop with Adreno, I hear you say? Well, let me lay it out. Flat rate shipping, $9.99 on all orders. Hassle-free returns policy. Australia, price match guarantee. Shop now, pay later with Afterpay. Fully sick brands. Huge, obnoxiously ginormous range of great spearfishing gear made just for legends like you. Go Adreno, go pro, don't be slow. Shop massive, spear and gear at Adreno. I'll stop. Shrek. It's a no. But seriously, shop with the Noob Spearo's longest running partner, Adreno. Head to adreno.com.au online or in-store at their huge mega stores. Use the code NoobSpearo to save $20 on any purchase over $200. Are you US-based, looking for freediving, spearfishing gear? Neptonics is the best. Their online website, so easy to use. If you've got any questions, Jerry and the team answer questions via phone, email. Anyway, they've got an easy contact form on the site. These guys are absolute legends, and if they sell it, they believe in it, they back it, they use it themselves. It's tough gear that works. Visit neptonics.com. Use the code NOOB10 to save 10% on any order at neptonics.com. That's right. Use the code NOOB10, N-O-O-B 10 on your next order. Save 10% at neptonics.com.
I used to get told there are only 2 certainties in life, death and taxes. But I found out that there are actually 3. Score a free hat of your choice when you use the code NoobSpearo with every purchase of over $100 at noobspearo.com/taxman. Get some gear that's nearly guaranteed to drive away the worksters, but gain admiration from the fishing fraternity. Go to noobspearo.com/taxman and use the code at NoobSpearo when you spend $100 or more to get yourself a free hat. Again, noobspearo.com/taxman. Hey, g'day guys. Welcome to the Noob Spearo podcast. Today I'm joined by Spencer Faucher, who, upon hearing kind of what he's been up to in the spearing world, you'd assume he was sort of some bloke in his mid-50s, very sort of overdeveloped sense of responsibility. But I tuned into his Instagram profile and the Tri-State Spearfishing Club that he's president of, and lo and behold, he's a bloke probably in about his early 30s, but he's just a proper high output, absolute frother who has done a whole lot really in and around spearfishing in terms of boat building, you know, chefing type stuff. Like, Spencer, walk us through, give us the Cliff Notes version of who you are and what makes you tick, man.
Sure, Shrek. Happy to. I appreciate that introduction. Very kind of you. Yeah, my name is Spencer Faucher. I'm actually 29, not quite in my 30s.
Hey.
I've been getting the mid 20s when I go to the bars around here in South Florida, which is where I'm based right now. I'm been hanging out in North Palm Beach for the off season ever since December and loving every day of it.
Yeah,
it's great weather down here. The ocean is so raw down here. It's so beautiful. The visibility is insane. So much better than what I'm used to up north, where I come from in New England. So normally I'm based in Eastern Connecticut, which is considered New England. And I just took over last year the Tri-State Skindivers Spearfishing Club. That club has been going on now for 16 years.
Wow.
This will be my second year as president. Prior to me, Josh Brower was president for 6 years and did a phenomenal job. He brought on the leaderboard, which is this virtual tournament. It kind of incorporates divers from all around, not only New England, but we've extended our territory up into Maine and down into New Jersey. So we have, Tri-State used to be Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Long Island, New York, right? That's the Tri-State area. We kind of shared like the same waterway. And now it's Massachusetts, Maine, and New Jersey all competing in this leaderboard, which is this virtual tournament where guys go out on their own with their buddies and they shoot, say, the biggest fish of the year. Say it's a black sea bass and it's 3-4 pounds, which sounds small, but that's a good black sea bass.
Yeah.
And so based on our rules and guidelines, they take a video with their buddy, and they weigh it in on a certified scale, and we review the video. If it's good, we accept it, and they hold that position. Each position or category is sponsored by somebody in spearfishing, a spearfishing brand that makes something cool, and the list fluctuates based on the year, but we have about 10 species across pole spear and speargun. And then we have 4 blue water species as well. So we do have some blue water spearing up there in the canyons.
I actually saw that, like your Instagram, your personal Instagram profile. So if I can point people to 2 profiles straight off the bat, because both of them are really good. There's the Tri-State Skindivers on Facebook, which is the club, and where you can see some stuff about this leaderboard and the life of the club. It's pretty cool. And then your personal profile, Spencer Faucher, has got a whole bunch of stuff on it. And if you're wanting to have a look at the East Coast spearfishing opportunities of the USA, and we're talking from Florida all the way up to Maine, Spencer has also got a bit of a passion for photography and even drone photography, but there's in-water stuff as well. It's like a Spearo's wet dream if they want to have a good look at that part of the country. I noticed like you're in a pair of shorts, like shooting mahi off Rhode Island. Arguably that's temperate water. I'm sure in summer it gets fairly warm, but man, you must have a bit of tolerance to the cold as well, eh?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because my buddies down here are like fair weather divers. They complain when the water temp just hits below 75 Fahrenheit. Sorry for the conversion there.
No, good, man.
In Celsius. But I mean, they're constantly complaining about the cold where, up north, some guys I know, Blackfish or Tautog as they're referred to, it just opened up north April 1st. And those guys are already in the water. I'd imagine the water hasn't even hit 50 degrees Fahrenheit yet. It's probably high 40s, low 50s, which is freezing.
Yeah.
These guys are probably diving 7 mil wetsuits right now with a whole lot of weight on them. But I never really get into the water until mid to end of May, which is still kind of early. It takes a while to heat up. And then around July, August is like peak season. And in September and October have been great as well. But we'll dive into the end of October, early November up there. And this past fall, my buddy Mitch Belanger and I, we were going out every week out to Block Island, which is kind of, in my opinion, the headquarters of New England spearfishing. It's where I do most of my diving up there. It's this awesome little island. It's a great party spot. Highly recommend everyone check that place out.
Yeah.
Or don't. People are going to get mad that I said that. It's kind of a secret hidden little gem.
David Hotchman might get mad. I had him on the podcast.
Yeah, I know you've spoken to a handful of guys from the area. David is definitely the local legend. He's definitely spent the most time in and around Block Island diving that area. He runs he's the only, spearing charter game out there, really. So
shout out to him. Spirit Charters, if you are looking in that area.
Spirit Charters, yeah. And he's been a club sponsor since the club has started for the most part.
Bloody awesome.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, he donates a charter every year, which is awesome.
I did want to tell you quickly, 75 Fahrenheit is like 24 degrees Celsius. So for the soft Floridians that are complaining about water under 75, like, don't worry, the North Queenslanders over here do the same thing. As soon as it's under like that 75, 24 degrees, like people are like, oh no, I've got to put on a 5 mil wetsuit. And it's like, no, come on. Like I put on a 5 mil when it starts getting below 20 degrees. But like people even, I'm imagining up there, probably think that's pretty soft.
Yeah, I dive a 5 mil up north all year round. And if it's in the late part of the season in the fall, I get a little cold, but I just deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't really go up to a 7 or even when it's really warm out, I don't go under a 5 to like a 3. Down here, I've been diving a 3.5, a Wahoo 3.5 mil, and I've been very comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's funny because sometimes, say in October up north, you wake up and it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so just below freezing. You're wiping frost off the boat, and then you get up there and it warms up to maybe high 50s, mid 60s in the afternoon. The water is still kind of mid 50s, low 60s, so the water stays warm. But it could be very fishy up there in the fall, man. There's a lot of migrations going on, and it's a good time to be in the water for sure.
So 50 degrees Fahrenheit is about 10 degrees Celsius. And then 60 is 15 degrees Celsius. So, yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. Like New Zealand, where I grew up, like wintertime, sort of North Island, it's probably that 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. It does get a little bit colder than that as well. So I can kind of relate to that. That, to me, though, like when it gets colder than that, that's like ice cream headache. When I used to go out boogie boarding in probably that 55, 56 degree Fahrenheit. And then it's like, that's when you get the ice cream headache. So it is a different type of spearing, but you seem to froth on it whether you're up north or whether you're in Florida. Like, where does that come from, man? Why are you wired like that?
I love it. I'm very fortunate to have grown up with it. My dad is super into boating in the ocean. He did a lot of scuba dive spearfishing because I don't think freediving was really a huge thing back when he was younger. So he grew up lobster diving on scuba gear and shooting blackfish with spearguns. And when we were younger, we had a 40-foot sailboat that we would kind of take a couple months each summer and just cruise all around New England. And, start from the age of 5, we were snorkeling and clamming and just living that ocean lifestyle. So, yeah, I remember snorkeling at a young age. I was at dinner holding my breath, watching my watch, trying to get the breath hold up from a very young age. Just have always kind of loved it and been around it. And then, there's a bio on our website, the Tri-State Skindivers website, kind of just a short description of how I got into it. But I remember someone gifted me a Hawaiian Skindiver magazine. And when I opened that, it was really the first time I was like, oh, okay, there's an industry around this. There's actually guys doing this on an advanced level, shooting big pelagics and all this cool. I just got into it. I was just like, wow, that's awesome. So kind of got more into it that way in high school. And but the one thing is, so my dad shot on his office wall in his wood shop because he's a carpenter builder by trade. He builds custom wood stairs and custom homes and houses, residential houses. He's got this 20-pound blackfish on the wall. So I always grew up looking at that fish on the wall, saying I got to catch one that big one day, or at least try to find one that big. And it's funny when we were in high school, my good buddy Eric Woodford, my best dive buddy, and good buddy that we grew up together. We used to work at this marina, Powell's Point in town, and we stole one of the sailing school boats with a friend of ours who was driving, ripped out to the breakwall where, our local breakwall where we were always diving, where my dad actually, 30 years prior got that same fish. So it's just a fishy area for this species, the Blackfish tautog. And he's very forgetful. So he forgot I think he forgot his mask and his spear gun, right? But he had his fins. So I go down and shoot a striped bass, which would be considered a slot today. So I don't know, a 32-inch fish. And I'm like, oh, I just got a nice fish, dude. Take my gun, take my mask, take a go at it. He goes down, comes up, and he's like, dude, your drag on the reel isn't working. I'm like, yeah, right. There's nothing here big enough that's going to affect that you're going to need drag on the reel for. So I'm helping him horse this thing up, and we get it in our hands, and it's just a freaking grouper size blackfish, the biggest we've ever seen. So I saw this thing, my adrenaline kicks in, I grab it by the gills, and we just horse this thing into the stolen whaler, the workboat. And it was funny, he had shot it directly through the nose, like in the bone, with like a couple centimeters of tolerance, just like barely missed it, but it was in the bone structure. It was like probably the second shot that it was a Cressy Geronimo, like 90 centimeter gun, and shot twice. So it was just nice and fresh and went right through the face. And that fish was like, I think it was 23 pounds. We weighed it the next morning. So we beat my dad's record. And honestly, we never got it officially weighed, but it was very, very close to the world record at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow.
Just a huge fish for its species.
Any guess on the weight or?
We did weight. We just didn't get officially weighed and like tried to document it and all that. It was 23 pounds. And the world record, spear world record was probably around 24 at the time. And my buddy, Brendan Dyer has the world record today. It's 25 pounds. So that fish was only two pounds under. But, just a fish of a lifetime that you won't ever see again.
That's a monster tog.
It's a monster dog. Yes, it is.
Yeah. What are they?
Exactly.
They're wrasse, aren't they? What do they eat like? Are they like sort of that soft, medium texture fish, like fairly mellow taste, or that's what I'm imagining?
Yeah, they are in the wrasse family. The meat yield is magnificent on those fish, and most people really enjoy it. My mother makes an unbelievable tog chowder.
Yeah,
I think a clam chowder, but tog,
Yeah, right.
And it's super good. If you could just like boil it in like soup, or you can eat it lots of different ways. But it's meaty, it's white. It's pretty flaky. It's just kind of bland tasting. It's delicious for sure. Not my ultimate favorite, but good.
No, I find like the more you go fishing, your taste kind of gets refined. But some of those wrasse species are fairly bland, so they're actually like a really nice species to like get people into seafood, because we kind of take it for granted, seafood. But for people that aren't really that familiar, like a lot of like. Like my wife tends to like more mild fish, so that's the sort of fish that I like to prepare for them, because I know that the whole family's going to eat it.
Yeah, no, it's delicious, and it's also entry-level fish to get into spearfishing in up north. It's usually the first species somebody takes down. Yeah. I think my first one was on like a 3-prong, just because they're in shallow water and they're not the smartest fish in the sea. They'll come right up to you for the most part.
Those dumb ones are what get us into it, though, and keep us coming back for more.
I don't mind the dumb ones whatsoever.
Me either. We're serving the evolution, aren't we? We're helping to just cull out the dumb and the weak.
That's exactly right.
Man, your dad, you guys have sort of mucked around in and around boats a lot. Like you've done some pretty cool like refurbishments and builds. Like it's pretty cool. Like I love some of the the Boston Whaler, those style of boats. They're beautiful. Can you just quickly tell me what you call a yacht and then like a powerboat? Because it seems to me like you call some planing boats yachts as well. Is that right? I mean, I don't quite understand the distinguishment between, like a planing boat.
I mean, some people will call like 60-foot boats yachts, but if it's under 100 feet, I don't think you should really call it a yacht. The boating scene on the East Coast here is pretty insane. There's a lot of money down here in South Florida and in parts of New England, and there's so many manufacturers of just phenomenal, beautiful boats, center console, sport fishing boats, you name it. It's interesting traveling around because I did spend some time in Australia. I actually studied abroad in Gold Coast. Yeah. So I made it up to your neck of the woods for a weekend or two, and we did a trip to Stradbroke, North Stradbroke.
Yeah.
I never brought my dive gear. I wish I had.
That's where I run courses.
I was going through kind of a scuba phase then, so I was doing a lot of scuba diving, like off burley heads and tweed and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, the boating scene around here is really incredible, especially right here in Palm Beach down to like Fort Lauderdale. It's just, you take a little boat ride around and you see, you know, boats that are worth tens of millions of dollars and center consoles that are worth $1 million and 500,000. And it's some of these boats are just set up to go diving. I mean, I just helped my yacht broker friend take some photos of this 34 Freeman, the cat boat. And it was designed by Freeman to do spearfish. They're the spearfishing racks and, you know, fish boxes in certain places and whatnot. And just fishing on a boat like that, I can imagine, is like paradise. It's just, the thing rips, you know. But yeah, my dad, he's a super capable guy, not only with wood but mechanical. So we bought a 40-foot Spencer. It's called the Spencer Yacht. It's a sport fish manufacturing company out of Wanchese, North Carolina, a well-known company in the sport fishing world. And it had some hours on it, so we actually did a complete refit on the boat. We pulled the engines out, the generator out, ACs out, did a new generator, put the engines in ourselves. We ACs. It's actually getting some paint work done right now, but we're just bringing it back to pretty much brand new. And I think 3 weeks ago now, we were over in Grand Bahama doing some pole spearing and some rod and reel fishing. We caught 2 blue marlin. But we're going to go back to the Abacos and explore more and more of that chain before going back north for the summer season.
Sick. I love that, man. You always seem to be on the ocean. Like I saw one story there where you kind of did like 300 or 400 miles with some friends, and I think you just camped and explored different parts of the coast up around the New England area. If memory serves, is that right?
Excellent due diligence trip, by the way. Yeah, so I have a little 20-foot bay boat, and I call it the Lady. It's Fighting Lady Yellow, so that's why it's called the Lady. But you know, it holds 80 gallons of fuel, which is just an insane amount of fuel for a small boat with a 115 Yamaha on the back, which is a very reliable engine. And yeah, I've been known for just doing big boat sends on a small boat, and I just kind of, I don't know, I just like proving that you don't really need a big boat to have a big boat experience. And, you know, it's a great little dive boat. So, yeah, I took that boat actually with my ex-girlfriend, Liza, around Long Island. We camped on the boat for 2 nights, spent one night in New York City, and then, which is basically a big lap around Long Island. And that was a great time. We explored that waterway quite a bit. And then this past summer, my buddy Jojo and I, we went up to Nantucket, Chatham, Cutty Hunk. New England is a very special place in terms of like the geography and the structure.
Yeah.
I think the glaciers had a pretty good go at that place 25,000 years ago and just carved it up. So, you know, between these island chains, you get all this great underwater structure and topography. And, you know, it's just unbelievable reefs for fish and stuff. Unfortunately, that Massachusetts, you know, Cape Cod region has become one of the top white shark hotspots.
Yeah,
I think it rivals that of South Africa's at this point. So I try not to do too much diving up there just because, you know, it could be probably pretty dangerous. And the visibility is really low in New England. You know, 20, 30-foot viz is a good day. You might have to do that metric conversion. But, you know, 50-foot viz, 60-foot viz is like the best you'll ever see, you know. Yeah. And I'm talking inshore. So, you know, I would say up to 30 miles from the coast, you know, it stays pretty green.
Yeah, green, dark water, like, and, you know, less than sort of 10 meters, 30-foot viz is like pretty hectic, especially when you're dealing with a sort of an endemic large population of big sharks that aren't afraid of people. Yeah, I can see why you wouldn't want to do a lot of spearing there for sure, man.
Yeah, we really don't see a whole lot. Like down here in Florida, there's a serious bull shark problem going on. There seems to be an imbalance. There's too many bull sharks, too many Goliath groupers. Up north, there's been the last season, there was a lot of dusky sharks taking bites out of spearos kills, which is kind of really unheard of up there. So I don't know what's going on there, but normally you don't really see a whole lot of sharks inshore. I'm sure they're around and they see you. But if you do run into a white shark up there, which it's possible because there's these yellow like receiving beacon buoys out there, and they'll tag the sharks. And when the sharks get in close proximity, the beacon will ping. There's this app on your phone called Sharktivity, so you could actually see the sharks, which shark is pinging near the buoys. So you kind of give that a look before you go out. Okay, this buoy was pinged today. Let's not dive this site.
Are they only tagged sharks that are pinging, or is it does it do it off biomass?
Yeah, I think they have to be tagged to ping, but there's a pretty good tagging program going on. No, of course there could be a shark that hasn't been tagged to be in the area.
Yeah.
But it has something to do with the seal population coming back. There's, the seals are now protected. So the seal population has exploded and white sharks are kind of just finding their food source once again. I think it's a good thing. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, but scary. You sound like you've got a real large sort of. You sound like quite cautious with the large body sharks. Have you had a bad experience, or do you know people that have had bad experiences?
I really want to see a white shark in the water. I don't want to have a bad experience with one, but I'd love to see one in the water. My good buddy, my dive buddy, Dinner Six Dave, he does some diving off the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and he's always wearing a GoPro on his mask, which is a good thing to do. He had a juvenile. When I say juvenile, it must have been 10, 12 feet long, white shark. Kind of just swim along, and as he's ascending in the water column, the shark kind of is facing towards him, doing like this kind of snake movement, coming right at him. And so he ended up kind of pausing in the water column and got this great clip of the shark just coming right in at him and then turning away. And the video was like sold off to some networks and went viral. It's got like 14 million views. But, the juvenile ones are scary because they're transitioning between a fish diet to a mammal diet. But we have a lot. We don't get in the water down here in South Florida without seeing sharks, typically bull sharks. I've never had a bad experience with one. I just don't want to run into one up in the murk, up in Block Island. It's bound to happen one day.
What do you guys understand about their body language? Because it sounds like, to me, like with your mate's situation, that that shark's playing some little body language games, which they tend to do with each other. And then as he's sort of resurfacing, that's sent a message to that other great white that he's maybe something to investigate and potentially attack. And when he's paused, he's tried to pose a threat to it again, which is maybe what's made it veer off. That's my little bro science guess at what was going on. Have you guys sort of had postulated about this sort of stuff as well?
We've talked about it a bunch, as you could imagine.
Yeah.
And it was probably just instinctual on his part, because it's not like he had all this time to think about what to do. He probably just was like, I'm swimming up, it's chasing me. I should probably pause here for a moment and face it head on, just to kind of show him who's boss. And the shark was interested, and then it wasn't interested. I'll send you it after, Shrek. It's a pretty cool clip.
I'll link it up in today's show notes. So
it's a great clip. What's funny though is he was diving that same region, I think 2 weeks later, and the viz was not as good. And now he just saw white shark 2 weeks before, and he's like, "Damn, I'm kind of scared." He's looking around. I don't want to see another white shark. And as he's thinking that, he looks behind his shoulder, and there's like a full mature white shark in the murk, just like big body. Like 2 weeks later, it's like,
oh man,
incredible.
That's hectic.
So he's known as the white shark guy.
Has he become an investor in Ocean Guardian and bought himself a shark shield?
You better believe it. It's sitting on my front porch right now, because he comes down and visits me. So I have his. He doesn't wear it down here because he'll get made fun of probably down here, but but he's got it. Yeah,
they work, man. Have you had to play with them?
I have not, but the Shark Bands sponsors the club, and they send us a care package every year. Yeah. And I've thrown those on my ankle once in a while. I haven't had any interactions with them on my ankle, but I believe it. I don't know how they work compared to the other brand, but I think it's a good thing to wear,
It's my understanding that they, both the Shark Bands and the Shark Shield create an electrical field which disrupts that primary, well, it's one of their sensory apparatus, the ampullae of Lorenzini or whatever. The thing that I had heard was that between the unit and the anode, is it, or that determines how large the field is that it creates around you, which is why the Shark Shield has like a tail on it, which is what annoys divers, because it's like 3 feet of whatever cord hanging out the back, and then it gives people a zap if it lands on them. Whereas the Shark Bands are a lot more discreet, but I think the argument is that they create a much smaller electrical field, so therefore they're less effective. But I have had calls to interview the guys behind Shark Bands, so I'm not dismissing it out of hand, but I think if you've had experiences like that and it's affecting your dive because your anxiety's too high, then it's probably an investment to buy something. And I've dived with people that have used Shark Shields for a long, long time. The guy that gave me the nickname Shrek, John, he used to use one all the time. He actually Seeker flexed the Shark Shield tail down one of the inside channels of his fin. But I've seen other guys just zip tie it, like drill small holes and then put a series of zip ties to hold it in. That way it's kind of not disrupting you too much, and it's kind of predictable where it's going to be. It's less likely to lay over your shoulder when you get on the bottom. But I have also seen guys using the shark band, so it's just interesting to hear what other people's experiences with it. And I mean, you guys are in a completely different part of the world, but obviously you share the same access to technology that we do.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is put that technology on the end of my my shaft, so that when I shoot the fish and the shark goes in to grab it, it doesn't eat it. That would be a good use of that technology.
Yeah.
Because that's really the problem down here is landing the fish. You know, once in a while you could find a nice fish and you could put a good shot in it, but if your buddy's not on top of that fish, you know, getting a handle of it and fending off the sharks, then it's good as gone.
There's some Florida divers, and I understand Florida's all different. Like you know, you're in South Florida. There's the bull shark rodeo guys as well that like to shoot cobia off them and some hectic stuff. I think it's more around the Gulf side, is it? But what are your thoughts on that? Because it seems like pretty hectic.
It's it's on both coasts for sure. I just shot my first cobia actually, I don't know, 4 weeks ago now, and it was just under a bull shark. And you know, you try to shoot it and then you try to just get a handle of it as soon as possible. My buddy Dave Fritch was just out there last week and shot a cobia, and his buddies were not right on top of him, which usually our team is on top of each other. And the shark did eat the head off the cobia and then proceeded to eat the rest of the fish. But you know, they want your catch. They just want to eat.
Yeah.
And the problem is there's a lot of recreational scuba dive vessels bringing, you know, tourists out to see the sharks, and they'll chum them in and feed them, which a lot of people are believed to be, you know, kind of affecting the behavior or changing the behavior so that they think humans equal food. You know, that combination of less fish, more sharks, it's just, it's not great.
That's a story that's kind of repeated across the globe, I think. That shark tourism is like arguably one of the things that is equating us with food, because it creates that Pavlovian response. You know, like back in the day, Pavlov's dogs, we ring the bell and then we can get the dog to respond to the sound of the bell because it equates it with food. It's the same thing with the sharks, that what you're talking about. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Is that your sentiment?
100% agree with that. Yeah, I think it must be true. And what's even crazier, to just take it a step further, is I believe when they hear a trigger mech going off, that also triggers them to come in and investigate, you know, any sort of sounds, or, you know, when we try to call the sharks in to see if there's cobia on them, we'll like rattle our trigger mechs. We'll take water bottles and crumple them and make noise in the water, splash the water. We'll chum the water, flick our bands, try to make loud sounds. And I think when they hear that trigger mech, they come searching in.
So you're out in deeper water calling them in, or what? Are you off structure, or what's the sort of, where are you finding them? Is it fairly predictable?
Yeah, it changes day by day, but usually there's spots that hold the sharks. And for the majority of the time we're diving like artificial wrecks, like old shipwrecks around here off Palm Beach. This is off Palm Beach, Florida, by the way. That's where most of my diving has been in South Florida. But some wrecks don't really have many sharks. Others have sharks all the time. Some days the sharks can care less, and they don't really want to bother you. And other days they'll come right looking at you. Just depends on the situation, really. But yeah, the depth usually around between 70 and 100. We're diving to the bottom. We're not diving down every time to the bottom, but if you just kind of head down that way towards the wreck, you'll see some fish. Usually, you know.
You said something cool earlier. It's a really cool one-liner. I think, you know, I love to do big boat sends in a trailer boat, basically. Like, it's a really cool turn of phrase. I want to return to boating in a sec, but before that, like, you know, you've taken some awesome footage and really tried to capture the essence of different species, whether that's the Block Island fishery with bass, or like I can see you've got, you know, films there on mahi-mahi, which you guys always just seem to call fish tacos for some reason. But like, you seem to really geek out and love different species. Has that been something that's been with you from the start? And then, if you can, walk me through what is the species you're loving to hunt right now? What are you sort of geeking out on right now?
Yeah, I think that is, you know, the end of the game is just challenging yourself and learning new fisheries. And, you know, that's why being down here in Florida is so different to me. And the guys that have been doing it down here their whole lives have taught me a lot. And like I have a whole list of Florida fish that I want to shoot that I haven't even seen yet. And then up north, yeah, there's plenty of fish up north that I haven't shot yet. We have a pretty insane, but it's a pretty insane offshore like canyon fishery up there. The canyons are like 70 to 100 miles off the coast, so it's a bit of a ride. You need really good weather to get out there and spend some time out there. And because it's so expensive in fuel and resources to get out there, you want to come back with some fish. So we don't always spend, the entire trip spearfishing. We'll try to catch some tuna on rod and reel before we transition over to diving, because a lot of times, as you know, it's just staring into the blue desert, looking at nothing. So yeah, I mean, I've shot some yellowfin in my day. I want to shoot a really big yellowfin. We have a lot of guys have taken down insane size big eye tuna up there. We could talk about that if you want, Shrek. There used to be a set of 6 or 7 NOAA weather buoys offshore, like right on the edge of the canyon.
Yeah.
And those served as like government fads, basically, because the government would service them.
Okay.
And certain times of the year, they're out there all year round, so they just collect great growth. And there's generally really nice fish on them for spearos. So there's been 100-pound wahoos caught off those. I've shot, I don't know how large, but really, I think it was like 55-inch mahis off those.
Yeah.
We got 2 of them actually.
On your profile, I can see you holding up a wahoo. Is that from that area? It looks like a sort of a 60-pound.
The wahoo, that was a wahoo that was shot down here off Palm Beach. That was my first wahoo.
Oh wow.
That was like a month ago. Yeah, now I'm addicted to catching wahoo.
Sick.
But up north though, so big-eyed tunas will come in and just circulate these. I could talk about the buoys because they removed them. I wouldn't be talking about them if they haven't removed them. But they pulled them out. I guess they went to either use them somewhere else or service them. But it's terribly unfortunate because they were just great spearfishing fads, and now there's a couple left, but not many of them.
So
and
were they weather monitoring, or were they like wave rider boys, or what was their purpose?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. They had all these weird devices. They look like, space tools, but they had all these kind of devices on them to collect, ocean data, wave height, and all that good stuff.
Yep.
I'm sure if we go to NOAA.com, we could learn more about them. Probably should. But yeah, I wish there were more. But yeah, there used to be these huge schools of big eye tuna on those, and I've seen the big eyes off them, but never connected successfully. So yeah, big eye is still on my list. I've been trying year after year. Maybe this will be the year I find one.
Do they respond to chum?
They would for sure, yeah. If you could find them, if you could mark them deep, because they're deep tuna. If you could mark them, you could likely chum them up.
Yeah. Okay,
we'll try it. We'll give it a go.
To make the most of your spearfishing trip, charter, or competition, I am putting together a 50-day Spear Ready program so that I can be in the best condition to make the most of this WA comp. It's a big swim comp, shore-based, and big swims for the day. I am not carrying a hell of a lot of physical conditioning because just due to my life and lifestyle, pretty busy with 4 kids. So this program will be 100% focused on action. And I thought, since I'm doing it, why not take a whole bunch of other people along for the ride? It's a 50-day program incorporating strength and conditioning, nutrition, dry and pull training, and everything else with a bunch of experts. I reached out to a whole bunch of legends I know, like Adam Stern, Jared Rosenberg, strength and conditioning coach. And we put together this program basically to get the most out of our bodies and make the most of these opportunities. Sometimes they're only once in a lifetime. You really want to arrive in the best possible condition that you can be. So Spear Ready, 50-day program to help you gear up. Go register noobspearo.com/Spear Ready.
Are you in the market for a new spear gun? Killshot Spearguns has got blue water Wahoo tuna guns, open track spear guns, enclosed track spear guns, rear handle enclosed tracks. Check them out at killshotspearguns.com. Even better, I've got some good news for you. You can save $30 on any Killshot Speargun at killshotspearguns.com. Use the code NOOB. If you're in store, just say, "Crikey, mate," or say Shrek from the Noob Spearo sent you, and you'll save $30. Ed Martin at killshotspearguns.com. Check them out. Yeah, sick, man. Walk me through this Wahoo that you just shot. Like, tell me about the story. How did that happen?
There's a spot a little further south. It's like in 150 feet of water over a wreck. And the Wahoo just kind of congregate over it and love it this time of year. And, my buddies brought me there and I didn't really expect to see anything, but we jump in the water and 10 minutes later, there's literally 5 Wahoos around me. No one else can see them. I'm looking straight. Everyone's just getting set up, loading their guns. And I'm looking at these Wahoo. I'm like, should I take a shot? Should I be the first one? So I whiffed a shot, missed one completely. My buddy Christian Daler next to me, great Spearo, he takes a shot on a reel gun with no float line and it rips off immediately. And then our buddy Dave is like, guys, stop missing the Wahoo. They're not going to stick around all day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm not messing up again. So we do a second drift. Dave goes down, 20, 30 feet, and I could see him lining up on a fish. And so kind of like start to slowly make my way down to put a second shot on his fish. He shoots it, it takes off. And it's kind of funny, like sometimes when you shoot a mahi, like other mahi will hang around with the one that just got shot. The Wahoo were almost doing that with his shot fish. And so I was chasing his fish and a couple others. And then as I'm like kicking and trying to get a second shot on his fish, all of them kind of disappear except this one. And I thought it was the one he had shot because I was chasing it and it wasn't taking off. So I swim down and I get a little closer and I'm literally chasing this fish. It should have just tipped right off. And I noticed it's not the one he shot. It's a completely different Wahoo. So I shoot it. I'm on, like a 110 with a reel and it's connected to a float line. So good shot, connected properly, rips all the freaking reel line off my Yuli sub reel. And then I have the float line in hand and it's taking float out and it's basically towing me along the water.
Yeah.
Because I kind of broke off from the other three. So the boat saw me break off and followed me, thankfully. And thank God there weren't many sharks around this day. So I'm getting towed up. The boat guy said I was getting towed at like 5 knots because he was like keeping up with me. And I just like pull myself to the fish. I'm like, please don't break off. Please don't break off. And I get a hold of this thing and I just, put my hands to the gills and the boat was right there. So I handed it up to him. And on my own, I just land this Wahoo and I'm like screaming and hollering. It's my first Wahoo. The other guys are struggling with this other fish. They're missing second shots and then they got control of it. And end of the day, they jump in the boat. We're like, dude, you were kind of screaming and hollering, celebrating a little early, weren't you? And like, oh, sorry, guys, really excited. But so, yeah, we got 2 Wahoo on that drift, my first one, and just, made a mess of it, all the gear, rear line everywhere.
You landed it though, man.
It was on this gun. Normally you shoot a bigger gun. This is like a reef gun. So I got kind of lucky, using this thing with the reel on and everything. It was on flopper shafts as well.
That's a nice rear handle. That's fairly uncommon. The Floridians seem to love their mid handles, don't they?
Most of my buddies are big Rob Allen fans. I know you guys are big Rob Allen fans in Australia as well. They don't shoot anything other than like big, double roller Rob Allens for the most part.
Man, I like the Ocean State spearguns up your way. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, Matt's a great shout out to Matt at Ocean Spearguns. He's a great sponsor for the club. He supports. He's like our biggest sponsor. He joins every tournament. He gives plenty of gear to the tournaments, all the events. We do a lot more than just tournaments. We partner with a company called Orca they're a nonprofit that does beach cleanups in the area.
Yeah, sick.
So we'll do 1 or 2 events with them and just try to clean up the beach and hang out and get together and network with everyone.
Yeah, I like that vibe about your club. I see that as well. I want to talk a bit more about the club. Just returning to that Wahoo, like I'm looking at it, I want to make a call and an estimate on it. It looks like 50, 55 pound fish.
Nah, it's just a good Florida push, as they say. It's probably a 40-pound fish.
Oh, wow. But it towed you at 5 knots. That's pretty hectic, man.
Thankfully, that shot was a good shot. Yeah. I just wanted to get a handle on it really fast.
Where was the shot? Mid-body, between the anal and the dorsal, was it?
Exactly.
Yeah, nice shot, man. A good holding shot.
Thank
All
you.
that
Thank
nice.
you. Yeah, I'm super stoked on that.
Yeah.
And Wahoo, it's just such a rewarding fish to kill because they're so tasty, man. I mean, I don't think we cooked an ounce of that fish. We had a big sushi party afterwards and just ate the whole thing sashimi style in sushi rolls.
Sick.
Such a fantastic, delicious, bland eating fish.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like them too, man. I still haven't shot one. My friends have given me Wahoo to eat before, and I've absolutely been appreciative. You seem to have that bug for pelagic fish. Like, what's your preferred mode of hunting? Big fish, pelagics, or do you like reef hunting as well?
Yeah, I really love it all, Shrek. But yeah, I want to get into pelagics are just hard to find. They travel so fast. They cover such large sections of the ocean. But yeah, I want to shoot big pelagics, big yellowfin, big eyes, more Wahoos. African pompano is very high on my list down here.
Yeah.
I want to shoot a nice AP. The cobias, I just keep shooting more cobias. That'd be awesome. Anything would be good, really.
Yeah, I can see it holding out. On a recent trip, you guys have all got permits in cobia. That looks like a fun trip. They look like good dudes.
Yeah, if you look at that photo, we have bananas in our mouths.
Yeah,
What's your take on the bananas?
I love it. I always love a bit of superstition.
I think you got to have bananas to have good luck.
I found the older the country, the worse the superstitions are, but the banana one is pervasive across the planet in the boating world. I don't understand why. It'd be interesting to see a good, like, full debunk of it. Like, but where it comes from.
That's what we were trying to do in that
it.
video. We were like, actually, I think we didn't even bring them. We just found them. Someone left them on the boat.
Okay.
Like from a trip prior. And we're like, all right, we got bananas today. Let's see what happens. And then we lucked out that day. But, fishing's tough. It's not always good. You just go out there and have a good time. And then if you catch fish, it's just a bonus. That's the way I look at every trip.
Yeah.
I've been fishing enough to not have expectations.
Back in the day, the Spearheads guys in Florida, did you ever see their stuff, the YouTube channel?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They dressed up as bananas and went.
Did they really?
Yeah, I loved it. It was just such a
Spearos love bananas more than rod and reel fishermen because there's less luck involved in spearfishing than rod and reel fishing.
You reckon?
To a point? Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what. There's good line fishermen though that seem to make it look easy, and there's good spearos that make it easy. But I still think 80% of us are relatively clueless, but just in love with it.
Totally agree with you. 100% agree with you there. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. All right. So we were chatting boating. So big boat sends and little trailer boats. Have you? It's mostly fiberglass boats, planing hulls that you seem to like. Obviously, like they have the ability to get up and move. Walk us through. Obviously, you grew up with boats, but what are some core boating skills that you think every Spearo should know? I didn't G you up for this at all, by the way. I just purely through going through it, I was like, this guy's a good guy to teach us some basics about boating.
Yeah, well, it's funny because so many times you ask a friend that's been boating their whole life to drive for diving or for spearfishing, and they're clueless about doing that. The best Spearos make the best boaties, really. So, but it's funny because the guys I've been dining with recently down here, we're so eager to get in the water that we don't really care who's driving the boat, which can be dangerous, right? And I have a story about that as well. We were up north, and we've been diving like a lot of small boats when we were younger up there, like 17 Montauk whalers, and like boats that just like get put away wet, don't get maintained at all. Like you're lucky if it starts kind of boat. And so we took one of those off of Rhode Island, a couple miles off Rhode Island. And me and my buddy Eric were diving, and his college buddies from like Ohio, who'd barely been on a boat at all, were driving. And so we're in the water, and we're like 2 miles kind of outside of the inlet, and they're drifting further and further from us. We're like, what the heck's going on? Well, the engine shut off and they couldn't get it turned over. They couldn't get it back on. So they're drifting away from us, and we're just out there. And like I say, we're kind of like not in the inlet, but we're like in front of the inlet. And so I'm doing dives, and I hear like a pretty loud boat engine, and it's like loud enough where I'm not going to go up quite yet. And I look above me, and it's like this 40-something Sabre, like down east boat that just rips right over I'm down maybe 20, 30 feet, but I just see this thing rip right over my head. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. Like, this could be dangerous. So eventually those freaking idiots got the boat turned over and got up to us. But yeah, you want to obviously, like, don't be on your phone, be cautious, be looking around, always keep your eyes on the divers. You want to like don't have the boat positioned so you're looking into the glare of the sun as you're looking at the divers, kind of be on the opposite side. And then when you're picking them up, depending on the wind and current, don't put the boat in neutral where the current and wind's going to blow you into them, so they have to like dodge the boat, swim under the boat. And if there's float lines out, be positioned in a way that you're not running over the float lines and getting the float lines tangled up into the engines and all that.
Yeah.
But most importantly, just be safe. And make sure the boat's in neutral, and yell neutral when the boat's in neutral. And, there's a lot that goes into it, but, with practice. And then, of course, there's the how do you get on the spot, right? How do you drop the divers based on the conditions so that they're drifting over the correct spots? And, so a lot of times, like someone a little more experienced will say, all right, here's the pin where you need to be, drive right over that pin. And we just kind of work it that way.
So you touched on some awesome stuff. I want to summarize a couple of them neatly. Like you mentioned like being down current or downwind, because sometimes current and wind run opposite, but you want to be downwind of the divers and within sort of 50, 100 yards, depending on surface conditions. And then as you approach them, you're shutting the engine off early enough that you're going to sort of slowly drift up to them. And then if you're coming in with a bit too much speed, you just give it a bit of a pull in reverse. That way you're sort of sitting still and let the divers swim the last 5 meters to you. And then the other thing you mentioned there is if you are approaching from downwind, like it keeps the float lines out of the prop and all the rest of it. Really like that. The other thing you touched on too that I really liked is an active alert boatie can run interference. So that big, 30-foot boat that ran straight over top of you, a good boatie would have already positioned themselves between you and the oncoming boat traffic. And these are all like to a lot of experienced spearos, it's like, this is common sense that you're talking about. But for some blokes from Ohio, it's not common sense. They do not understand our world. And, there's so much of this small little stuff that you have to teach to people. And it's so good when we all contribute to teaching people because then we all end up safer. But sometimes there's lazy spearos that don't communicate and they assume that everyone else knows what they know. And most people don't. So it's good that you've sort of thought your way through it. I love that, man.
One more though, Shrek, I would say is, when your divers are underwater, just be mindful. Don't be shifting the gear forward, neutral, reverse. Don't be revving it up because, sound travels underwater and it can be distracting and make your guy that's on the bottom trying to have a relaxed dive kind of anxious. So there's that tip too.
Yeah, so low revs, like not a lot of moving between forward and reverse, tending to use neutral. Do you shut your engine off if you're running boatie and you've got like 3 guys out and you're chasing some skittish pelagic species? Let's just say you've got like a 500-yard drift and then you're dropping them off at the top and then picking them up at the bottom. Do you like to shut the engine off, particularly if you've got calm sea state and a reliable boat?
No, we just put it in neutral. Usually it's a great idea to shut it off, of course, that way you can't bump into the throttles and have it go in gear as people are climbing over the engine, over the lower units, getting close to the props. But no, we normally trust our guy and depending on the boat too, and the controls and all that, it's a great idea to shut the engines off. But, we're doing lots of drifts. We're trying to maximize our time. So usually neutral is good enough.
The boys dropped me off a little while ago and they weren't sure about this bit of ground. So I jumped over to scout it before everyone else bothered to gear up and jump in. And I jumped in and it was off the chain. And I did a drop and I was like, yep, this is the spot, boys. And I didn't shoot anything. I just come back up and told them. And then they were like, sweet. And they started gearing up and then someone shut the boat off. And then I've dropped down again and there's this like prime maricod, which is, I don't know if you can remember them while you're over here, but like a good, like 50, 55 centimeter maricod is like really, really highly regarded. And he was like 20 meters away from me and I didn't quite have the legs to get him on that dive. So I came up and breathed up, but I kind of knew where he was. So I was going for my next job. I come back up to the surface and the boys are setting flares off. What? They're 150 yards away from me. There's flares popping off and they're trying to get the attention of this big, like 25, 30 foot, like a tower boat because the engine wouldn't start. And like literally only 5 or 6 minutes had gone past, but they had shut it off and couldn't start it again. So I'm just drifting there and I'm like, waving out. They're waving to me before that. And anyway, it all ended up being all right. We got towed in and the guy didn't have Coast Guard membership, so we had to pay like $1,000 or something for the tow. And it was... You're
lucky the helicopter didn't get sent for you. That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, thankfully...
That would have been an expensive day.
It was only a 200-meter swim, but I was kind of disappointed too because I didn't get a shot on that maricod, But
yeah.
That's a shutting off the boat tail I wanted to share because that can happen too, like when you shut it off. Sometimes if it's running, you're like... there's always the chance that it won't start again. So you're almost, and they don't use much fuel in neutral, just idling.
No, yeah. Yeah, back to the other story. Had those guys shut off the engine and, they'd end up dying anyways. But yeah, sometimes on certain boats, you want to leave them running. Yeah, sure. But also like driving in, boating around lots of other boat traffic, like not drop. If there's fishermen on a spot, don't jump in their way, wait for them to drift off the spot. Or if they're anchored, just go to a new spot. And don't dive too close to inlets and all that good stuff. Like spearos love to dive in inlets around boat traffic, right? It's like the thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes those
Don't,
inlets.
don't give the industry a bad rep. It's such a small sector within recreational fishing. I think spearfishing makes up like less than 5% of recreational fishing. So it's such a tight-knit group of people that you don't want, like one person can affect, the opinions of many just amongst, what they think of spearos. So you got to kind of be mindful about that.
Talking about the East Coast, like you've gone from Maine to Florida. Have you done any diving in Texas as well?
No, I'd love to get out to those oil rigs though. That looks like insane diving.
Mm. Have you done any West Coast stuff?
Yeah, I've spent a little time in the West Coast. I'll talk about like just networking because I think that's it's such a small industry, as I was saying, and being part of a club is kind of important. I think if there's a club to be part of in your area, it's worth joining. Usually just for the networking aspect, because maybe you want to dive in your zone with like-minded divers, better and worse than you, but also divers know other divers in different locations around the world in the United States or the country that you're in. And so through the club, I ended up networking on Instagram with a gentleman named GR Tarr, who is a world-renowned spearfishing guy. Many know him. He's kind of a legend in the industry.
The red tide guy.
I don't know. Yeah, red tide guy. I don't know if you've interviewed him. You should if you haven't, because he's such a legend. But yeah, he's just, didn't know me at all and just kind of accepted that I was a newbie at the time and took me under his wing for a day and brought me out and showed me all these great spots off of St. Pete. And it was just awesome to learn from him and his guys, And to that point, I did the same thing with Jeremy Gamble, just a little further north than him a couple of years before that. So yeah, I think the power of social media and Instagram, everyone's on Instagram. So just like being very friendly and going to your network. Hey, I'm traveling to Southern California. Do you know anyone that dives there? Can you hook me up with someone that dives there? I went on a work trip to San Diego 2 years ago now and did that exact thing. And my inbox was filled with friends of friends. And by the time I got to this guy, his name's John Eggers. He was like the guy to know in California, Southern California. It was like 3 mutual connections removed. So I didn't really know anyone he knew, but he invited me out for dinner one night and brought a Google Maps printout and was just circling spots where I should check out. And then he couldn't dive that week, but he introduced me to his other friends and they brought me out on this like 15-foot wooden hull center console with an engine that barely ran kind of thing. Kind of a famous boat. They call it the Filthy Whore. I guess just because it makes its way around all the divers in that area.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible experience. I didn't know anybody. I just kind of networked on social media. And those guys, I met them at 3 a.m. It was pitch black dark. Never met them in my life. And 3 of us sent it out on the Filthy Whore, like 30 miles off the coast of California, which is like raw, big ocean. And we saw blue whale that day. I shot my first yellowtail, and it was maybe 2 feet long. It was a small little guy.
Yeah.
But, just doing stuff like that makes it fun. Like, you don't always have to go to your charter company not that you shouldn't, but, you don't always have to hire a guide to have a good experience. You could just be traveling for work or with family and just get online and pack your dive gear and have a great day or two with some local guys.
There's a lot of reciprocity in our community, man. There's a lot of rad people. Like sometimes spearos are accused of being tight because it's like, the level we apply to hunting fish underwater, we seem to apply to hunting for a bargain above water as well. Like the spearos are remarkably like careful with their money at times and then quite ridiculous at other times. But anyway, as a rule, there's these generalities about our community. I love the fact that you can, like you say, connect and network with people in different parts of the world. And it's cool that you're doing it. Have you noticed any like different cultural factors within the spearfishing community in different parts of the country since you've sort of had a go in lots of different places?
I'm just now starting to really travel for spearfishing. I did that semester over in Australia and made it to Fiji and was doing some free diving, scuba diving, but I never was like full on, spearfishing in those areas, which I highly regret not doing. But I'll go back eventually. I'll be texting you then, Shrek.
Yeah,
we'll go out and we'll go find your Indo spots. But yeah, I mean, California is a lot different than the East Coast. Florida, there's so many people from New England that come down to like Florida, this area, that feels kind of similar. But no, I don't have like California is just overall different. Like for example, their boats, they think it's crazy that all of the sport fishing boats on the East Coast don't have bow rails. this is more of a rod and reel thing, but like those guys will use the gunnels or the bow rail on a boat to lever the rod and reel and fight the fish. And you would never see that on the East Coast ever. Yeah. You would never see someone using the boat, to hold up the rod. You would see someone in a fighting chair or standing up with a gimbal and harness.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying is like the West Coast guys just got weaker arms. Is that what you're saying?
They might. I don't know. Something in the water, maybe. I haven't spent enough time over. I want to get back very badly, and I have some friends that moved to Southern California. So my buddy Aaron Hampton's got a nice boat down there. So we're going to try to go out and find some of those bluefin tuna in the near future, hopefully.
Sick, man.
But yeah, I haven't spent enough time to really tell you, the differences in cultural spearing.
How do you reach out to people then? Do you just say, hey, guys, or do you do like a story on Instagram or something and just say, hey, I'm heading over here. Do you guys know anyone? Or, what's your approach there?
Yeah, I'll just reach out. I'll reach out to my internal, network and say, hey, do you know anyone that lives here? Or I'll just jump on Instagram and find people that way and just shoot them direct messages, Not everyone gets back to you, and some people send rude responses, but, can't be afraid of that kind of thing.
Nah. Yeah, like there's that Ryan Levesque book, if you don't ask, you never get anything. And
the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, but you've got to have the sort of the boldness and the courage to reach out. But like spearos, like honestly, there's some incredibly hospitable people in our community, and they're only too happy to like meet people from other areas and show you what they love in their backyard,
Yeah, I think spearos like to travel, and if you fish, you might need to bring a lot more than just a dive bag and a spear gun. But if I go to California and I'm diving over there, say, hey guys, open invite whenever you want. Here are the prime months to come visit me and what you could expect to get with me. So I just kind of offer that up, to them.
And you've inadvertently throughout this interview told a lot of people what not to do, which is to share specific spots. And I think. Do you know what I mean? Like people are going to invite you back if they know that you're not going to blow up their area, like in terms of giving people specifics and stuff like that. Because there's that's kind of our way of protecting our fishery is like it's always person to person communication. It's not scaling. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't tell people on the podcast where to go. We might mention areas in generality, but I'm not giving out GPS coordinates. Because and same with social media, you don't do that. It puts too much population pressure on local area. And if you are in a club, if you are connected with a network, that's like it's not like you're in the club like we're some inner group of like people, whatever. But it's like we're providing a level of protection and looking after our area. I think would you agree with that?
Yeah, the word club is kind of, it's really more of a network than anything else. It's just a group of like-minded, people that love to harvest seafood from the ocean, using a specific strategy, and just a group of guys that likes to get together and talk about fish stories. But yeah, to your point, you gotta just be respectful when you're on other people's boat, and, you kind of just with time understand how to do that.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to link up stuff we've chatted about today at noobspearo.com/Tri-State. So TRISTATE. And that great white video I'm going to put in there as well, and anything else we chat about, as well as the club. But let's chat about a bit more about the Tri-State Skindivers. So like you said, you guys have informal meetups. Walk me through like how you keep a club like that firing on all 8 cylinders. Like it sounds to me like you need a core group of awesome people that sort of do these voluntary roles that help make a club like that work.
Yeah. It's all volunteer work, and at times can feel like a very thankless job, but it also is very rewarding. I love throwing these tournaments. Someone like Josh, the president before me, did it for 6 years and spent a lot of time and effort doing it. And there's a lot of moving parts. What's hard is to get other people to participate and volunteer their time to help out. But last season I had a team of, 3 or 4 others. And, the day events are really my favorite thing. Like, getting a good venue, reaching out to the network. Hey, who's got a good spot or a restaurant we could throw, the after party at. And these guys at the Nordic, this restaurant in Charleston, Rhode Island, throw a great tournament for us every year. We did a Maine lobster bake, and there's a guy that's harvesting oysters, Davy Jones oysters. He's actually diving for big oysters, so he comes with his oyster stand. And we got the backdrop with we have a huge list of sponsors. All the big names have been supporting us for years, and a raffle table just piled with gear. So at all of our events, everyone walks away with a piece of gear, whether it's a pair of gloves or a spear gun or fins or wetsuit, whatever it may be. Someone walks away with something, which is always nice, and I think that gets participation up a little bit.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, it's fun to see people enjoying the event that you kind of put together. It's nice to give trophies away to those that were successful, and there's someone there taking photos and videos. The biggest tournament of our season is called the Species Meet. It's always held on the first Saturday of August, and that tournament, it's going on now for, I believe, this will be the 14th year, I think. We have over 100 divers participate in that year after year, and I'm pretty sure it's either the second or third biggest day tournament in the country, possibly the globe. Who knows? I know the one down in the St. Pete Open is the biggest in the world. It's 300 member tournament, but we're pretty proud of that one because 100 divers in the Northeast, where it's not that huge of an industry up there. It's a good sized tournament, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, we typically throw 3 to 4 day events on top of tournaments, and then there's always some beach cleanups or killing grills, we call them, which are just meetups, get-togethers, and cook your kill kind of thing.
Cool.
And then there's that virtual tournament I spoke about earlier, the leaderboard, and so there's a lot of moving parts, and then there's getting apparel and t-shirts for there's a lot going on, but at the end of the day, it's all worth it.
Yeah, the other thing I think, with roles and stuff, do you have someone that looks after sponsor engagement in terms of, because one thing and I've seen it with sponsors before, it depends on, sponsors are doing it because they want to get in front of people and they want to contribute to awesome club environments. Clubs serve a massive role. It provides a communication hub, but then generally they're part of some overall governing body that help lobby our fisheries and all that sort of stuff, and marine parks, and they give us a seat at the table with the negotiations and the consultation that goes on when they're deciding how to rezone areas and things like that. That kind of happens at a higher level, and most spearos are so far removed from that process that it's not funny. So being part of a club sometimes gives you representation there, so they protect our access. And then we have the amazing social benefits of it. There's a competitive aspect, and then the networking part of it. There's so many reasons to be a part of it. I love that feeling underwater when you pull the trigger and you know exactly where that shaft is going. You want something dependable. You want to put that fish that you've been chasing for a lifetime in the boat, in the cooler, in the esky, in the chili bin, if you're in New Zealand. Why do we call all these things different names? Anyway, today's show sponsor, KillshotSpearguns.com, make awesome wooden timber spear guns, a fantastic shooting platform. If you've ever shot a big timber gun, you know the reliability that you get from these things. He mostly makes enclosed track spear guns. Visit him at KillshotSpearguns.com. Use the code NOOB to save $30 on any Killshot spear gun. Hey guys, not sure how you stay hydrated out on the boats on those long days out on the water, but staying hydrated is absolutely critical towards good equalization and looking after your body, making sure you're not doing those awkward one-legged kicks to the surface when one leg cramps out on you. Go to aqualite.com.au and get yourself a box of sachets. You just simply add them to water. It's less than $1.28 per serve. It's cheaper and healthier than any other sports drinks on the market. Aqualite will make a difference in your spearfishing. Check it out at aqualite.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo to save 10% on any order. Check it out. Aqualite, made in Western Australia. To make the most of your spearfishing trip, charter or competition, I am putting together a 50-day spear ready program so that I can be in the best condition to make the most of this WA comp. It's a big swim comp, shore-based, and big swims for the day. I am not carrying a hell of a lot of physical conditioning because just due to my life and lifestyle, pretty busy with 4 kids. So this program will be 100% focused on action. And I thought since I'm doing it, why not take a whole bunch of other people along for the ride? It's a 50-day program incorporating strength and conditioning, nutrition, dry and pull training, and everything else with a bunch of experts. I reached out to a whole bunch of legends I know, like Adam Stern, Jared Rosenberg, strength and conditioning coach, and we put together this program basically to get the most out of our bodies and make the most of these opportunities. Sometimes they're only once in a lifetime. You really want to arrive in the best possible condition that you can be. So Spear Ready, 50-day program to help you gear up. Go register noobspearo.com/Spear Ready. One thing I've seen with competitions and sponsors is sponsors not maybe getting as much value out of the exchange as they need. So like actively promoting some of the sponsors and giving them a bit of a plug seems to be a really part of that process in order to provide them with value. With Tri-State, I notice you guys create a fair amount of material and introduce people to the sponsors and who they are. Do you have a dedicated person doing that? Do you have a team of people that help with that? I mean, what does that process look like?
Yeah, that's really my job, Shrek, in the whole scheme of things. It's kind of the sort of passion piece I have for it. It's just being that middleman and point of contact between the sponsors and the members. And yeah, it is tough because all of these businesses are, relatively smaller businesses and the industry is small, but we do our best to support our sponsors by a lot of them will generate like discount codes for us, whether it's 10, 15, 25 or more. And we'll just hand out a list of codes to all of our members to hopefully drive website traffic. And then on top of that, just, get their name out there, get their gear in the hands of more people and just spark conversations around it. But, I always say like, help me help you. So if there's something specific that you want to do or you have these great ideas on how to, push your product, like I'm happy to implement them. Just give me a hand doing it. For example, Headhunter was really cool about, giving me a pair of demo fins that our guys can just kind of get in their hands and bend and feel. And I sent them back to them afterwards, but things like that, and on top of just the tangible goods, we also have some like guiding companies giving us, a free trip here and there, or days of a trip, and free diving course like Ben Zions that donated a free diving course for us last year, which was awesome. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I see you guys did were you just plugging a benefit there for the guys over in Lahaina?
Yeah. Yeah. We work with Dylan to put together that fundraiser that was held in Newport. Yeah, we kind of put together a little care package, and then a lot of our members showed up to that event, and they raised quite a bit of money. Yeah.
Some other cool brands getting around. Surfer, like they make some cool apparel. I see you guys partnered up with like Waihana. You mentioned Headhunter. You got a beer? Have you got a beer sponsor there? Is that a local?
Yeah, Narragansett Beer is sponsoring us. They're like, one of the older beer companies in America.
Sick.
We're happy to. Have you ever seen the movie Jaws? Jaws is I'm a huge fan of that movie. Jaws. Yeah. So Quint in the movie crushes the can, like Quint. That was a Narragansett can. Fisher's Island Lemonade. They're a huge sponsor for us. They've been supporting us for years. They're kind of a local vodka and whiskey infused canned cocktail. So they're like sick. They're like 10%. So one of those gets you tuned up for the after parties at the tournaments. The Noretic has been sponsoring us. Roger Yazbek has been great. Daryl Wong has been great. Blake over at Kinetic, he sponsors us. I mean, there's a huge, huge list of folks supporting us. Matt at Ocean State. Neptonics always gives us a huge box for the species meet.
Sick.
Now I feel like I got to run through everybody now. I'm going to forget somebody.
Yeah. If you do, just let me know.
You know how it is, Shrek.
I know exactly how it is, man, and it's hard. One thing with Spearing is it's like they're all like mum and pop companies, like Neptonics is a huge brand in spearfishing from our sort of perception, but really it's just Jerry and his boys like getting stuff done, and they provide an awesome service, but it's still not like some multinational. It's just normal spearos that love spearing that much that they started a business around it.
I also want to mention quickly GR, because GR has been like our number one sponsor since the very beginning at Red Tide. He's been huge. Yeah. And Dinner Six, my buddy Dinner Six, he also gives us guns every year. True North Mike Electronics. There's the Dive R. There's a huge list of almost everybody in spearing at one point has sponsored us, but these are some of the guys that year after year donate to the club.
Yeah. And they, the other thing we were mentioning is how difficult it is to promote all the brands adequately. It's like it's a lot of time and effort to do it. And some of these guys, they sponsor these comps because they're trying to build the community, you know, and they want to be in front of people that are also share that same value set. So it's pretty cool. Another comp I see you guys run was the Jojo Moran Tri-State Tog Blast. Is that an annual fixture? He seems like, I'm looking at the photo on the Tri-State Skindivers thing, and he seems like an absolute character with some funny.
Jojo was a great guy, an unreal diver. He actually unfortunately passed away a couple of years back to suicide. So we hold that tournament in honor of him year after year now for 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. He seems like a funny dude, man. And I thought that was pretty cool that you guys do a bit of a fundraiser for that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, brother. What about scary stuff? You've been spearing a long time. Has anything scared the shit out of you?
I try to avoid the scary stuff for the most part, to be honest with you.
So you haven't had any scary, or is it, you're actively getting away from it?
I try to avoid dangerous things. So that's the name of the game, to stay alive. But we have some close shark encounters. Like, sharks can be kind of crazy. They've bit our bands off our guns and stuff like that in the past. And then I told you about the boat that went over us.
Yeah.
But thankfully, nothing, really, really dangerous.
That sounds. They all sounded hectic enough all on their own. I normally ask people their funniest story. I'm going to ask you slightly different. Who's the funniest buggy you go diving with? And I'd love to hear a bit of a story about it.
Oh, man, that's a tough question. I was trying to think about that earlier. Like, sometimes, silly stuff happens in the water and you kind of like chuckle, like somebody missing a fish and you're just like blowing air out of your mouth. But I will say, my buddy Christian has a funny story. I wasn't on this particular trip, but, we get to know some of the scuba divers around here, the bubble blowers. And I guess they were out diving a spot and a dive boat dropped like right on top of them and sent their guys down, like 3-4 scuba divers down. And they're like slowly checking out the wreck. So Christian, he thinks he's funny, man. He's a riot. This kid strips down naked, everything other than his fins. And just goes down, like bombs down 75 feet and just does like a swim butt naked and does like a full 360 spin, just showing him everything. And these guys, they got a GoPro of it. And these guys are like, what the fuck is this kid doing? So that's like one of the funnier things I've seen. A lot of the guys I dive with are just good, great people. And you meet the greatest people through diving.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about it. I've met so many friends and, people I consider brothers at this point. And we have a lot of fun. It's always funny when you're first getting your wetsuit on. No one likes to put your wetsuit on, right? And you're getting the conditioner and lubing those things up. And there's always some sort of smart ass remark from somebody about something sexual or just, inappropriate. So we usually have some sex talk on the boat when we're getting lubed up, getting ready, just us guys, If there's a woman on board, we keep it obviously PG-13.
Yeah. My mate Bert, the old man Blue over in WA, he nudes out. Like, he's just one of those older guys that's completely uninhibited. He just nudes out. And then, one time we were out, we're sitting there at this boat ramp at Exmouth, and he's nude sitting on the side of the boat with his wetsuit. And then he realizes he doesn't have the suit lube. So he says in his accent, Joel, where is the lube? And so like that was my joke for the whole trip, like there's nothing like a naked bloke asking you where the lube is, So
yeah.
That is definitely Spearo, man, I reckon. Those bubble blowers must have blown an awful lot of bubbles when your boy went down there naked.
I think they were more like angry than anything else, but that's why it was kind of funny.
Well, they shouldn't have rocked up on your spot while you're there. That's a dog move.
I know.
All right, man, what's in your dive bag? Those spear guns you showed me before, are they the ones that you and your dad crafted?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that earlier. So because my dad is, an insanely skilled craftsman and a carpenter by trade, we've built, I think, probably like 10 guns at this point, a couple of blue water guns, a couple longer reef guns, a couple shorter. Like up north, you don't need anything that long because it's pretty bad viz. So this is what I've been using. These guns are pretty much identical right here. It's purple heart and maple.
Yeah, I was going to say is that a 3-part composite barrel?
It's a 3 wood laminate. It's hard to see the gun on the camera, but you can see like just some of the details we put in. This one's a rounded butt, which was kind of experimental. Don't really love it without the rubber, but this is like non-skid on there.
Yeah.
But like just like we're it's all about functional art to us. We want it to look as good as it
cool.
shoots. But at the end of the day, if you put it in close track and a piece of wood and load up the bands, it's going to shoot pretty straight. So
that would be a real nice steady platform. With one thing that the timber guns have over the pipe guns is just that recoil dampening, which I absolutely love. Like, we can kind of mimic it with a roller because it just pulls some of the recoil out, but timber definitely has some advantages, and they do track nice if the barrels have been shaped pretty well, which a lot of the guys are doing these days.
Yeah, I love shooting these, and you just get used to a gun and you get good at using it. But it's just cool to take a piece of wood, take some Nectonics parts and put them in the wood and shape it the way you want, and then bring it outside of the shop, bring it into the water, and just start shooting fish with it, and then feed your friends and family with fish you've shot with stuff you've built.
Yeah,
it kind of brings it full circle to that whole primitive fish hunting thing.
I've never built one. It's like I chatted with Ed from Killshot Spearguns down in the Keys. He makes guns, and he uses the Neptonics componentry too. And I got a sense from him of that same vibe. Have you played around much with? So you're making? Are they all in closed track? Have you tried just making it with a rail sitting prime? And have you toyed around?
There's a lot of things we want to try. We have 3 or 4 blanks that are queued up right now back at the shop in Connecticut. And when I get back up there for the summer, I'm gonna try to do more filming of the whole process.
Yeah, nice.
Because he's really the expert. I just kind of give him a hand here and there and watch. And so I'll film. I'll try to do some more content around the spear guns being made, and then us shooting them and eating fish with stuff that we've shot. But sorry, what was your question, Shrek?
Have you toyed around with just a rail, not an enclosed track?
We want to build a roller.
Yeah.
We haven't done that yet, and I'd like to try just a non-enclosed, just a track gun, something like a very slim profile, something that tracks even better, that's even lighter. Because these guns are, sometimes you get lucky and you don't have to add lead to your guns. Like the buoyancy is just kind of perfect. That's tough, right? To have the gun floating without the shaft, but sinking with the shaft in. And sometimes you just by chance get lucky that the freaking weight is perfect. The blue water guns is a lot more mass. You have to add a little more lead to those ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of designs we want to play around with, just kind of shaving off as much wood as possible, making them real sleek and stuff.
Where are your ballast points on the gun? Where do you add weight on those things?
Usually somewhere right above the reel.
Yeah,
you want it, because you want it to sink, slow, kind of pointed down. You don't want the thing pointing up at your diver.
Yeah, you want it very slightly muzzle heavy.
Right. So if it can sink straight that way, that would be great.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to do this because then it's going to go right to the bottom.
Yeah, sometimes I like it though, because you can let your gun go, and then you don't have to worry about it when you're streamlining to descend.
Excellent point.
But then you want your gun to float when the shaft's not in it too. So it's a real delicate one, isn't it? Guys that geek out on spear guns, I feel like spear gun builders have been learning the same lessons that every other spear gun builder has learned, and we all have to sort of go through and learn all of those things for ourselves. But it sounds like a cool journey, man. I wish I had more time and more energy because I'd have a go at it too. I'm not a super handy guy. But yeah,
you really don't need much, and I'm pretty sure Neptonics makes it easy. I think they even sell blanks with pre-built, pre-routed out holes for their mechs and all that. And at that
I'm
point,
pretty sure Ed makes those. I'm pretty sure Killshot makes them.
Does Killshot also?
Yeah, and
so then it's just shaping the gun, just taking routers and chisels and making it yours.
Neptonics are selling. I'm pretty sure they were Ed's blanks. I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
Yeah. But
you would know more than I would.
Are you using the AR-15 Neptonics handle on yours?
Yeah, so I do. I love these AI. What are they?
AR-15, based on the assault
the AR
rifle
handles. I like the grippy ones. I like this because you can't touch. We don't put safeties on our guns. We did try. I actually have a story about that. We tried to put a safety on our blue water guns. The kind that are. It's like a sliding piece that has a notch, so it's just basically blocking. We got the design from Koa. So to keep that slidey piece in place, we had a piece of rubber kind of tensioning the sliding thing. So it wouldn't just shift back and forth. And
so it's a trigger safety. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a trigger safety with just a piece of rubber in the wood to tension the sliding piece from going back and forth on its own. But this story is why I'll never put another safety in a gun. because we were diving in the canyons up north, and not every day you find like a nice juicy 80-pound yellowfin tuna. And I'm just like slowly following this guy. I'm like way deeper than I want to be, and I'm slowly trying to get a shot in this guy. And I was really close, had the perfect shot, and I go to pull the trigger, safety's off, go to pull the trigger, and nothing's happening. Squeezing it, nothing's happening. So I'm like, you get that split second where it's just like too late. So I come back up, I'm like, what? The thing's not working. Well, we go back to the shop, we take it apart. That little rubber piece that was tensioning the slidey safety ended up like getting jammed into the mechanism somehow. So it was actually like blocking the mech from firing off. So never will do that again.
Yeah. Interesting, the safety designs. I tell my students, like when I'm teaching, like every safety is worthless on a spear gun that I've ever seen. I'm happy to be proven wrong, by the way, because I'm still ignorant. But I don't like them. They never serve the purpose they're intended for. They're not safe. They don't make a spear gun safe. You never point. If it's loaded, you always treat it like it can go off at any time. It shouldn't be pointed at people. And so the safety, what purpose does it serve? It just ruins opportunities. That's as far as I look at them.
I completely agree with you until I started diving with these guys who love to bring their dogs on the boat, and their dogs start jumping around all the gear and stuff. And then if you have a loaded spear gun in a boat, which I don't recommend ever doing, the dogs want to trip the triggers if the safety's not on. So that's the one use I've seen. The one good use of a trigger safety is if you have animals on board, which I also don't recommend, and they're jumping around the gear, put your safety on.
Yeah. There's a famous guy over here, Tony Hugh, who takes his dogs out with him, and there's heaps of comical stories about it. I'm not a big fan, but some people love their dogs, man.
That's for sure.
Ooh, small interruption, folks. Just before we get into this Spearo Legends gear, I wanted to chat with you about the Noob Spearo knife packs. It comes in a roll, 2 Victory engraved catch and cook knives with an Eggington steel, 2-sided scatter, and fishbone tweezers. It all comes in a convenient roll so you can hide it from the family so they're not chopping up cheese and vegetables and ruining those sharp filleting knives. You can hide that away and pull it out when you get back from a mad session out on the water to fillet your fish and treat them with the respect they deserve. Make the most of it. Check it out, noobspearo.com. Head up into the shop there and check out our catch and cook custom knife packs. Get into it. Freediving for spearfishers at howtofreedive.com will help you to extend your breath hold, understand your body better, and put you in a better position when you actually get to go out spearfishing. This program is not for noobs, as this program is for people who have some diving under their belts and understand some basic spearfishing safety, but it's perfect for spearos who want a guided, easy to follow and complete program with videos, a clear process, and a set goal. The 5-minute freediver works. Get started for free and see if it's for you at howtofreedive.com. There's a tester there. Use the code NOOBSPEARO, NOOBSPEARO, to save some money if you do decide to purchase. Check it out at howtofreedive.com. Freediving for spearfishers, a fantastic way to prepare, especially if you've got a big trip coming up. Get to that 5-minute mark, and it does translate to your diving at howtofreedive.com. One thing with you, Spencer, I think it stands out, and this is from your social media and this is from you personally. You have a lot of admiration for your dad, and your dad sounds like he's like a real high output kind of guy. You've also got that same vibe about you. Has that transferred from him to you? Was that a conscious thing that he has done with the way he's brought you up? Or I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
He'd have a better answer than I would, but yeah, no, we're best buds. We're good friends. We do everything together. He's, my family is like very close. We're all very close to one another and have a great relationship. And we love to go boating together and just enjoy the good life, the ocean life. So my mother doesn't like to be on the boat. She complains when we go fishing for too long. So we'll have to find some resort in the Bahamas to leave her in while we go out fishing. My sister loves to fish. She's getting into diving. She's got equalization issues. She can't get under like 20 feet right now, but we're going to get Christian and some others to hopefully help her out with that.
Cool. Ted Hardy's got a really good roadmap to Frenzel online course as well.
Maybe I should send her that.
Yeah, because there are some things that can hold you back, and his process it's like a, can you do this? Okay, yes, go this way. And then it's like, if you can't do it, then you go and do a different activity. And then when you can do that, then it's, can you do it now? And then, yes, go this way. No, go this way. And then he kind of guarantees that you're going to be able to do it. You can even add on an additional like Zoom call with him, and then he can even further help diagnose stuff. That's the best resource I've seen online. But there are some free stuff as well online. There's like I find with students, about 1 in 3 people seem to have EQ issues. Sometimes we can fix it, and sometimes we can't. And it, like I had a girl on the course, Rachel, absolute beast of a woman. She had done 4 courses, I think, and just could not crack the 30 feet mark. But just went away and worked on her EQ game hard every day. She just stretched her eustachian tubes, doing a couple of exercises, and through persistence, she got down. She was diving like, 40, 50 feet on a course. I had her under a log on dusk and like 20 feet of visibility, so low light, your sketchy environment. She's down there 25, 30 feet shooting fish. And so for her, because she stuck with it and persisted through those and she overcome those issues, it was almost more rewarding for her. So I'd encourage your sister, man. I hope she sticks at it.
Yeah, I need her to be able to go a little deeper to, just enjoy it more, and also spot me when we go on the family trips. And I think she'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, to your point on those Ted Hardy courses, those are great. Some of those free online courses, I always try to push those to all of our members and just, push safety in general and just say, hey guys, everyone should have already taken a level 1, but if you haven't, this is a good entry course to watch online and run through it. It teaches you a lot about the science of blackout and what you should and shouldn't do. And yeah, Ted's amazing for putting those together.
Yeah, if you go to freedivingsafety.com, that is that full free safety course online that Ted's put together. If you're interested in any of the other stuff, go to noobspearo.com/Ted. But I'll link that up in today's show notes as well, noobspearo.com/Tri-State, TRISTATE. The Tri-State Skindivers, if you're in that part of the world, or that 5 or 6 state really area of the world, I think you guys are doing an awesome job, Spencer. Mate, let's get into a fast-paced round of questions before we head on out of here, eh?
Sure, happy to. Let's do it.
All right, cool. What is the spearfishing destination you would most like to go to?
I feel like there's so much here on the East Coast that I haven't accomplished yet between here and the Bahamas. I really want to get over to the Bahamas. The Bahamas, there's so many species, such beautiful reef diving over there. And what's cool about the Bahamas is you have to use a pole spear. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world where you actually have to be a good enough hunter to use a pole spear. So I want to break into that world. I'm just starting to dabble there. There's some great diving off the Carolinas, the Outer Banks, that I really want to try to hit. So hopefully this spring I can get up there and do some OBX diving. They have some nice big species up there. And then, just, more canyon diving up north, just put more time on the pelagics up there. When I do travel, I got a lot of stuff on the list, Shrek. I want to shoot a big old halibut in Norway. I want to go to Alaska and see that fishery. I want to get down to the SoCal bluefin fishery. I want to see Baja. I want to get to, the Baja spots and, Mag Bay and see all that. And then, of course, there's Panama and Costa Rica and Central America. And then there's the Pacific, Indo. And then I got to get over and see you in Australia. We got to go do some Brisbane diving over there, right?
Man, I'm just starting to kick off a trip that I reckon might be perfect for you. I'm putting these 2 annual trips on the calendar now. I'm trying to do it every year. One is a Whitsundays trip on the outer reefs off there aboard a sailboat. And then I've got a Mackay trip that I'm trying to book annually, and that'll be early November, aboard a liveaboard for 5 days. And we're like beyond trailer boat range, we're doing a proper big boat send in a big boat, but hot showers, cabins, the works. So if you come over and you're around one of those timings, that'd be cool. But even if you just want to do some dirty old brizzy diving, happy as to show you around, brother.
I do. The last time I was on Whitsundays was a drinking trip and a snorkeling trip. So yeah, I do want to go back over there. Yeah, what if you had to pick one place on like main continent Australia to dive? Like I'm sure where I was in Gold Coast, like off Burley Heads and stuff, was there good diving off there? Like spearfishing? Like
100%.
Where would you spearfish if you had to get in the car like right now and just drive from your house to spear?
Well, I'd drive to WA. It's only a 5-day drive or something, Western Australia. Yeah, Western Australia is hard to beat, man. But I haven't done a lot of stuff too far north either. Like the Great Barrier Reef off Cairns, they have a decent fishery, but again, like a lot of it is determined by range and opportunity, and getting good weather windows as well. But Man, we're pretty spoiled, honestly. Even Brizzy, like I was out here on Easter Monday and it was just amazing, like it was alive. It was so cool. We've had so much bad weather that I think the fisheries had a good rest and that's been good and that's good for it, And I'd had a rest too, but I was still diving all right because I've been doing some training and I think I'm a bit like you, Spencer. Honestly, like I love spearfishing. Like I can go in cold, dirty water and still have the time of my life. A lot of it's
from New Zealand.
You're
from New Zealand, mate.
Yeah.
That's also on my list. I want to go up to that Three Kings spot in North Island. Have you been there?
Yeah.
That looks epic.
The podcast gave me an opportunity to go with Nat Davey and Rochelle Davey, the other men's and women's world record holders for yellowtail kingfish. And I got to go out with them to, the spot. I did not make the most of it. I was actually a bit underdone for that trip in terms of fitness and stuff, which is partly why I've changed my ways.
Nice.
Yeah, but this is the things you learn as you go, and you're 29 with an ambitious spearfishing destination list. I'm sure you're going to tick a few of them off, man.
I gotta get on it. Time's ticking.
Yeah,
but yeah, that New Zealand looks pretty insane.
This is our faster paced round of questions. I think we spent 5 minutes on that one. So
give me another.
What's something a little different from everyone else that you do with your diving?
Saw this in your list, man. I don't know. I don't really think I do anything that I'm sure there's something, but I just like you mean in like form and technique and stuff like that, or just in general?
Hunting techniques, the way you dive, the way you breathe up, anything, man. Even boating skills. What is like? You've done a bit of travel too now. I mean, one cool thing about spearing is if you travel and you go diving with different people in different locations, you tend to learn a lot of shit from people. If you haven't got something that you do that's a little different from everyone else, is there something that you've noticed another person do that you think is pretty cool?
I can't give away all the secrets here, Shrek. No, I really don't have anything that comes to the top of mind that I'm doing differently, but just staying very relaxed. My method is just, be very relaxed. Don't go down if you're not ready. Like you just can feel when the breathe up's, good and you're ready to go down. And then just take your time. Just go really slowly. Like just move slow. That's.
How do you relax if you're anxious on the surface? What's your process?
Sometimes if it's really choppy and the waves are hitting your face and you got water in your snorkel and, maybe you had a cup of coffee that morning or something and you're just not feeling right. Just hang out on the surface, just spot your friends until you're ready to go down, right? There's no harm in just being in the water on the surface either. And just, there could be pelagics to roll through if you're in the right place or whatever, but just, do a proper breathe up, take the time it needs to really get comfortable before you go down, because you don't want to enter the water too early and not have a good breath hold and just feel uncomfortable down there. It's not worth it, All
right, cool. Good call. All right, two last questions, man. During how many years have you been spearfishing?
Really I've been snorkeling since I was about 5, but my first fish, I was probably around 12 years of age, probably a tog on a pole spear. So
you're easy 15, 20 years into it.
Yeah, but serious like I am now, the past 10 years.
All right. During your years spearfishing, what is the single biggest lesson you have learned?
The piece of advice that I just kind of spoke about, but GR Tarr was saying to me is just take your time and slow down. Even if you think you're going slow, go slower, and also just safety comes first. At the end of the day, we are doing something that can be considered dangerous. I think freediving, there was a book I read, I forget the name of it, Shrek, but they said freediving is the second most dangerous sport on an annual death rate behind skydiving or base jumping, because shallow water black ice is obviously very scary and dangerous. So, just be safe, watch your buddies, don't dive with people that aren't going to watch your back. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people that know how to safety you properly. And we've all been guilty of, doing unsafe things and going with the wrong people or not diving safely. I'm obviously guilty of it, just like everybody else. But, if you're diving deep, make sure you have that line of communication where you're saying, I'll go first, you'll go second. Please watch me. Let's not start pointing our spear guns in random directions. Let's make sure there's good safety with the guns and all that good stuff.
Yeah. You've touched on some big things there that I'm getting more and more passionate about. I think bad habits with buddying creates other people with bad habits around buddying. And there are a lot of shit buddies out there, but you've kind of, sometimes it sounds cliche and it's a bit soapboxy and romantic, but it's almost like you've got to be the change in your crew, which is like, hey guys, I want us to be better for each other. Like you do put more fish in the esky, in the cooler box, you know?
In the esky, yeah.
Yeah. But like, you know, like it's safer and you have more fun, you share in the froth. It's just a discipline, and you've just got to make a bit of a pact with your dive buddies that, hey, let's buddy up properly. Let's stick with each other. Let's just stop being dicks and selfish. But it's a big cultural shift for some people. But anyway, sorry to soapbox you and take over there for you, brother.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Last question, man. Could you describe what the spearfishing experience means to you in one sentence? You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I did. These are tough questions. Good job writing those questions. The spearfishing world to me is just it's being on the water with, you know, in a beautiful place with people that you love, friends and family. It's being in the ocean, having that respect for how dangerous it can be and how beautiful it is, and around all the animals and wildlife. And it's, you know, selectively harvesting. It's not just going out and killing 30 yellowfin tuna because the regulations will allow. It's taking enough for you and your friends for, you know, that week. And then, you know, taking care of your harvest and respecting it and eating every part that you can, you know, like don't just go on a trip and shoot everything you can because you're on that trip that you spent a lot of money on. You know, be responsible. If your buddy got a great Kubera snapper, then let that be the one Kubera snapper you kill. Don't go killing 4 of them, you know?
Yeah.
So I know that wasn't one sentence, but
it was a short book.
A short story.
The question always elicits big answers, man, because it means a lot to us. You know, it's a cool way to experience life in the natural world.
I love everything around the lifestyle. I love the gear and the boats. You know, making the gear and using it, and you're catching food. You know, it's not really a sport or a hobby. It's really a lifestyle if you do it properly. You know.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's hard, but you know, people. It's awesome because so many people don't know a lot about it, and people are interested in what you do, and sometimes you have to explain it to them. And you know, for being around for 90,000 years or something like that, it's funny how many people aren't really familiar with freedive spearfishing.
Yeah, man, Spencer, your passion's contagious. One thing I like about your Instagram is like, it's funny, you don't have a lot of followers given the sort of content that you post, but one thing you're doing is we're
working on that, Shrek. We're trying to bump that number up.
Well, you're a good storyteller, man, and you show people spearfishing in the right way. You know, like, and it's all of it. It's the whole lifestyle. It's not just holding up dead fish all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, I love those shots as well, but I think there's more to it sometimes, and you're doing a really good job of communicating that message. So, your personal profile was Spencer. How do you say your last name?
It's Faucher. It's it's French.
Faucher.
I'm
saying Faucher. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I get that most often. Sometimes Faucher.
Meet the fucker.
My buddy Christian came on our family boat the other week, and he kept calling my dad Mr. Faucher, and my sister and I, we heard it, but we didn't correct him. We just let him keep doing it, you know.
I love that. Meet the Fockers. I'm gonna have to call this episode that. Mate, and obviously the Tri-State Skindivers, Tristate Skindivers. On Instagram as well. I'm going to link that up today. If you go to noobspearo.com/Tri-State, Tristate, I'll link up everything we've chatted about today. But get on board with these guys. Spencer Faucher, Faucher, mate,
Faucher.
An absolute legend. Thanks for coming on the show, bro. Really appreciate it.
And thank you, Shrek. Appreciate the conversation. I've been a huge fan of yours since you started. So thanks for what you're doing for the industry, man. It was a pleasure.
Hey, Legend, want to take your spearing to the next level? I got a magic trip coming up. It is the Mackay Hardline and Beyond trip. I got Tim McDonald, a current Australian spearfishing champ, Tom Sandstrom, and a host of other legends coming to help deliver an intermediate spearfishing course in an idyllic location. We're going beyond trailer boat range. We might even get into some blue water stuff. We're definitely going to shoot some of the most amazing reef fish that Australia has to offer. Go to spearfishingcourses.com.au, secure your spot with a $1,500 deposit. The trip is about $5,000. This is our very first time running this trip. It's aboard an amazing, amazing boat. Only 2 people per cabin, hot meals, hot showers, dedicated spearfishing in an idyllic location with mad instructors and guides. I tell you what, it's the trip of a lifetime. Get into it. Go to spearfishingcourses.com.au. Let's fill this boat full of frothers.
If your buddy had a blackout on your next spearfishing trip, think, what would the outcome of that be? Do you know how to revive someone from a blackout? Would you even be in a position to do something about it? Or would you be diving, chasing after a fish as your buddy sinks down to the bottom of the ocean? Do you know where most blackouts happen? Do you know what you can do to minimize your risk of having a blackout? My name is Ted Hardy, and I'm the founder of freedivingsafety.com. In my free online course, you will learn the truth about shallow water blackout, the myth of, I don't push myself, I know my limits, I'm in tune with my body, how to minimize your risk of having a blackout, and most importantly, how to save your buddy's life if they have one. Visit freedivingsafety.com to sign up for your free course today. Dive safe out there. It's not even that hard.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed Spencer today. As you could tell, like from the get-go, an absolute frother, real high enthusiasm, great vibe, giving straight back into his community, and just a cool dude. Go and follow him, Spencer Faucher on Instagram, or as we mentioned today in the show notes, go to noobspearo.com/ I think we said Tri-State, didn't we? Head over there, noobspearo.com/ Tri-State. Get into Spencer's Instagram profile in particular. He's got some awesome stuff going on there. An absolute legend and a gentleman of the highest caliber. As usual, I come away from an interview with a brand new bromance. Really cool guy. Hey, in 2 weeks' time, it's another really, really cool interview. It's a guy I've wanted to have on the podcast for a long time. His name's Matt Bond. The episode is called The Cut Professor on Full Spread Spearfishing Ethics and Economics. Very interesting conversation because he's a very intelligent man, and we have a fair amount in common. He was a massive contributor for 99 Spear Recipes, and again, he's an older guy, very clever, been in the spearfishing for a long time, a massive advocate for protecting access, and it's a very, very cool conversation with an experienced spearer. So come back in 2 weeks for that, Matt Bond. Guys, I'm having an absolute blast bringing the podcast to you as usual. I can't see the Noob Spearo podcast finishing anytime soon. And as such, actually, adreno.com.au, the guys over at Adreno have just renewed our long-standing relationship and partnership. And it's an absolute pleasure working with these guys. I've been with the Noob Spearo podcast since episode 18. I know a lot of people have made use of the Noob Spearo discount code when they go and buy spearfishing gear. But hats off to them just for being legends and always being in the corner. They've got a new brand opening up in Australia. It's hunting, archery, and spearfishing. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in the coming weeks. There's a couple of stores open up. One's already open in Melbourne. It's called Venture Outdoors. There's another one opening up here in Brisbane. We're going to celebrate that and maybe have some of the guys on from there when the Springwood or Brisbane shop opens up. But hey, guys, again, if you froth on the show, go to patreon.com/Noob Spearo. Join a bunch of other frothers supporting the show on an episode-by-episode basis, putting fuel on the Noob Spearo outboard and sending me, actually, next week over to WA. I'm competing in the Nationals with my good mate, Tom Sandstrom, and we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun and just rub shoulders with some of the coolest and most talented spearos in the country. I would be well out of my depth, literally and figuratively, so it's going to be really cool. Guys, see you in 2 weeks. Matt Bond, the Cut Professor on the Cut Professor on Full Spread Spearfishing Ethics and Economics. Hey, legends, thanks for your reviews and your love out there. I really appreciate it. Catch up.
In a world of cancel culture, we need to be bold and stand up. Ignore the self-censorship, have a laugh, and poke the bear, or in this case, a shark, with Fuck the Tax Man. Listeners get a free hat of their choice when they spend over $100 at noobspearo.com/taxman. when they use the code at Noob Spearo with designs that capture the frustration of having your fish taxed. You'll love the FTTM long sleeve UV blocking fishing jerseys, t-shirts, hats and more. Visit noobspearo.com/taxman. Use the code Noob Spearo to score a free hat of your choice when you spend $100 or more. Again, go to noobspearo.com/taxman.
Buying gear online can be tricky. You ask yourself the same questions. Will it arrive on time? Is it actually what I want? How much is the shipping going to cost? Great news, the name you can trust is Neptonics. Neptonics, solid gear that works. Visit Neptonics, buy tough gear. Use the code NOOB10 to save 10%. That's right, use the code NOOB10, N-O-O-B 10, to save 10% on your order at Neptonics.com.
Are you looking for spearfishing gear in Australia? Head on down to your local Adreno Spearfishing Superstore today and explore their ginormous stores filled with mad gear and frothing staff. On top of a huge selection of high-quality, Australia price-matched, guaranteed spearing kit and high-quality expert Spearo staff, Adreno offer Afterpay and a super easy returns policy. Adreno will have you geared up for your next spearing sesh with a massive smile. That's Adreno Spearfishing with stores located in Perth, Aspley, Wollongabba, Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Sydney, Melbourne. Get into it. Head in today or shop online at adreno.com.au. Use the code NOOBSPEARO to save $20 on every purchase over $200. Online or even better, in store. Your new spear gear is waiting for you.